Hello, Dr. Jessica Ash here. Today I want to talk about living with grief over the years. And there'll be another video about the initial stages of grief, but I wanted to give you a lighthearted story. My father was a decorated World War II officer. These are some of his medals. He had two Purple Hearts, two Bronze Stars, and then I can't remember what this one is, but one of my friends can tell me in the chat down there what it is. So he was also one of the last officers actually on horseback in the cavalry, and he played polo with General Patton. He talked until the day he died about how mad he was that the Army actually took away his horse and gave him a tank instead, which to us today sounds alien almost. But he was very patriotic, and his encouragement led me to apply for and be accepted at the U.S. Air Force Academy, a very prestigious institution. I chose not to go there. Not that he was necessarily disappointed, but he certainly would have loved it if I had gone there because he was so patriotic. And not that I'm not patriotic. Fast forward to the next generation, and my son was applying to the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. In case you don't know, the United States has several academies that are federal. Many of you may have heard of the Army Academy called West Point, and then there's the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, and a Coast Guard Academy, and the United States Merchant Marine Academy. Now, the Merchant Marine Academy produces not Marines, but merchant mariners. And there are two tracks, just for clarification. You can either become a ship's captain or a ship's engineer. And my son applied to the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, and he got an appointment from the Congressman Shabbat from our state, for which we are very grateful. So we passed that hurdle, and then he was going through all of the application stages, and we were near the end of the application period. This is roughly 20 years after my father has died. And generally you can see I'm at peace with my father's memories. And so on this day, I looked into the computer to see that my son had been accepted by the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. And I might even start crying now and laughing at myself while I cry. But so I see that he's been accepted to this academy, and immediately I'm thinking of how proud my father would be. And I just started crying. I couldn't even stop myself. Tears are running down my face. Snot is running down my nose. I can't even talk. But bear in mind, I'm proud and happy. And this is where we're getting into grief. I just can't stop myself from crying. So I walk up the stairs to my son's room, and he hears me crying. He runs out the door. "What's wrong, Mom? What's wrong, Mom?" And my daughter runs out of her bedroom and says, "What's wrong, Mom?" And I said, "William, you've been accepted to the academy." And he said, "I'm confused. Isn't that a good thing?" And I said, "Yes." And now I'm laughing at myself and crying. And the point here is that when those tears come, just let them out and don't try to hold them in. And it really doesn't matter where you are, because grief just comes in waves, and they're overwhelming, and it's much better to process them and let them out than to repress them. And it happened again the first time he came home from school in his uniform. I saw him. I might cry again. He was coming in through security at the airport, and I could see him a long ways away, and I just started bawling. I couldn't even stop myself from verbally sobbing and gasping and nearly gagging. I was a complete mess. There was makeup all over my face. I'm doubled over crying, and there are people around me and I can hear them. They're saying, "Oh, do you think her son has been to war?" Oh, I can kind of hear them, but I can't control myself to get myself together enough to even tell them, no, he hasn't been to war. And so I'm trying at this point to stand up vertically, and I can hardly do it. I'm mostly just doubled over crying in pride and in happiness and in grief, and it's all mixed. So my son by now is used to this reaction with me about his school. So he comes through security and he immediately sees the scene of everybody around me is looking at him like, "Oh, was he at war?" They all got really big eyes, and he says, "Everybody, I'd just like you all to know that I'm a college student. I have not been to war. This is just my mother." And now I'm laughing at myself, and he's laughing at me. And he just hugged me, and I buried my face in his white uniform, and I got makeup all over his white uniform. And we laughed and we cried, and mostly he laughed because he didn't know much about his grandfather. And then it passed. And now I can laugh about it. I could even laugh about it then. And that's the point of this story, is that 25, 35 years later, I still live with grief. I make peace with myself by not trying to suppress it. So I hope you can laugh at that story, and I hope you can find some kind of peace from a memory of someone you have lost. And I would love to hear your comments, and please type something about somebody you love who you've lost if you want to, and subscribe, click the bell icon for more videos.